And really, at the end of our days, at our own memorial service, the things that we did on our resume, the amount of books that we wrote, the amount of money we made, the amount of projects that got done, the things that seem so important to us in the midst of the daily life don't really matter all that much.
We get it. You're busy. You want to grow, and we want to help. You're passionate about your craft because it deeply matters to you. Your faith is important. It's your foundation. At Stay Forth, we coach leaders to avoid burnout, live and lead with clarity, purpose, and from a place of health. We want you to experience long-term impact. Welcome to the journey.
This is going to be a really different episode, but I want to let you in on my life and just some of the things that I've been thinking about over the last few weeks. I had two very different experiences, but actually that led me to the same things over the last 10 days or so. My 98-year-old grandfather, who was a hero to me in so many ways, finally passed away, and he lived an incredible life. And we gathered in Florida to celebrate his life, and we told stories, and any of the tears we cried were just really tears of sadness of losing an amazing man and tears of joy that we got to have such an amazing grandpa. We got to know this man and just who he was, the joy, the love, the generosity just leaked out of him. And so got back on a plane, headed back to Colorado. And just a few days later, I got to host what I call a vision refresh. And this is an opportunity where a leader comes to me and I coach them through a framework where they really understand what they are going after, what is important to them for the next decade. And then we organize or design their life around that. And while those were two very different experiences, they pointed to the same thing, that question of what really matters, what's really important in this life. And so I want to poke at that in this episode in a couple of very different ways. David Brooks calls these eulogy values, these things that really matter at the end, versus resume values, the things that maybe we talk about, that I've done this or I've accomplished this. And really, at the end of our days, at our own memorial service, the things that we did on our resume, the amount of books that we wrote, the amount of money we made, the amount of projects that got done, the things that seem so important to us in the midst of the daily life don't really matter all that much. But the things that really do, those eulogy values, joy, faith, love, generosity, how we showed up in relationship for people, that's the stuff. That's the stuff that really matters. That's the stuff that I told stories about my grandpa sending me a crisp $100 bill and writing me a note with his shaky hands every single month and say, go support people that need that. Go be a blessing. And just to continue to hold me up to my calling and hold me even accountable to that with his generosity and love and care. It's the stories of him showing up in people's lives in ways that were surprising and unexpected. The way he served, that is a eulogy value right there. So what is that for you? What do you want? I don't know if you're familiar with a life plan, but this is really, really similar. So as we talk about a vision refresh, I just kind of wanted to let you peek through the curtains and just kind of see, what is this? Peek into my time with a guy named Wayne. Now, what's fun is that later on in this, I'm sitting in this very room, and Wayne was finishing up one of our exercises, and he had no idea I was going to call him in. He had no time to prepare. And I basically asked him, what are you learning? What is this? What are we doing together? And here's what I know. Disorientation often produces transformation. Disorientation often produces transformation. And so what I try to do during these vision refreshes, I bring a leader to Colorado, and we zoom out for a decade. I mean, that's disorienting enough. When you get on a plane and you're used to the emails, the tasks, the processes that you hit timeout on. And you come here fully focused on, what is the next decade of my life going to look like? And we want to think about those identity dreams, those things under the surface, really those eulogy values we're talking about, who we want to become. And we want to think about those resume values as well, the things that we need to get done, the things that we need to steward or accomplish, the goals as we traditionally think about them. And it's really both. It's identity and impact goals. Now, here's the process. I basically spend the first day looking back, and we analyze the last years of life, the things that they accomplished, things they didn't accomplish, the things that were frustrating, were good, everything in between, their family. We look at the different aspects of that and how we accomplish that is I actually send pre-work ahead of time. And I ask them to look back during that time. And there are 8 different spheres of life that I identified in Wayne's life. And I ask him questions about that specifically and really like a craftsman or a caretaker, a steward of those different areas of his life. I ask him questions about that. So we start by going over those questions and looking back, and then we drill down into his heart and his soul, the things that truly matter to him as a dad and as a person, as a leader. And we ask the deeper questions. So after we've looked back, we look within and we really do a lot of excavation work about who he wants to become, what he wants to be true. And then, of course, the last day we're looking ahead. We're formulating a plan, in this case, a decade dream list, as I call it, and look ahead, a dream list for the decade. And we begin to organize, where does everything fit? Because goals don't really matter if we do not have a plan to accomplish those. So that's really what it is. But I'll just say this, why? Why does this matter? We get so sucked in to the week, so sucked in to the details, the everyday, that we forget. We forget what is important for what is urgent. We forget our eulogy values for our resume values. We forget the identity of who we're becoming because of the impact of what we are doing. And we all need a reset in that. And we work that process. We've talked about here on this podcast. Mark Batterson talks about that change of place and a change of pace equals a change of perspective. Get into a different place that isn't your norm, preferably a beautiful place like here in Colorado. And then we talk about a slower pace for a few days where we're moving at the pace of how God is going to speak to us, asking questions. I'm pulling things out and excavating different areas of his life. And then what we see, mindset shifts, change of perspective. And you get to witness a little bit of mindset shift that Wayne experienced out. We're coaching over food. We're coaching in different environments. And we're getting what I call the inhale of hearing from God, where he may be completely alone outside looking at a mountain and completely alone when I'm in another room at a restaurant and thinking about these concepts or ideas or questions over coffee. And that's the inhale where he's just hearing from God, getting that solitude time. Then the exhale where he's not only writing those things down, but we're discussing those. I'm asking questions. I'm poking a little bit further. What would that look like? And what do you mean by life transformation? What do you mean by I want to accomplish this? What does that actually look like? What are the goals? And that's where really the coach in me comes out as we begin to pull those big dreams down to the ground. What would have to be true? So one of my favorite things to do is called a vision refresh, where I bring a leader into Colorado and we take 3 days, we zoom out on their life, we look back, we look within, and we look ahead. So that looks a lot like analyzing some of the victories and challenges and disappointments that they've been through, looking down, kind of drilling down into their unique design, who they are, who God made them uniquely to be, their unique contributions, their gifting, their wiring. We often name several things there, and then we look ahead to the future. So we are 3 days in, or I guess 2 days into a 3-day vision refresh with my friend and my coaching client, Wayne Francis. He's been here on the podcast before. And as we look ahead, I thought it'd be really fun to just bring him in. So he has no idea that this is coming. I'm going to bring him in to the podcast and surprise him. We're going to have a conversation about a vision refresh, life planning. What is it and why and how it's valuable? Here you are. Surprise studio. Welcome to the surprise studio.
Oh my gosh.
We out here.
Wow.
Vision refresh.
Vision refresh.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. Why did you take that with your surprise?
It's never in there.
Oh my gosh.
This won't be the last one. Let's see you that much.
Oh my gosh.
So why did you take time, energy, money? It could have been used very, very well in many other places in your life to come to Colorado.
Because it is very, very important to be clear on where you're headed, because if you don't have an aim for where you're going, of course, you will hit and run into things and have collisions. Without clarity, there's collisions.
Ooh, man.
Yeah.
So this isn't our first time.
No.
This is the last time. We did some looking back, and you might or might not have sent me an email that said, I pretty much checked off everything on that list, maybe except for one, which will remain unnamed here.
Yep.
So this is the second time you're heading into a big decade,
Yeah.
and we've been zooming out and talking about 10 years. How in the world, in a couple days, do we zoom out and talk about 10 years?
Well, I think you're a master at helping people achieve clarity, and I think taking some time to move away from the busyness of New York life, or just life in general as you're leading multiple places. But I think what's great and what you do especially well is that there's a framework. There's sort of like a template to plug into, and it feels like um, my life up until this point feels a little bit like Jenga. It's like Jesus Jenga. Oh, so there's like so this all that. No, we're good. We're good. And I feel like this is the most non-Jenga approach to it because it's systematic, it's clearly repeatable, and it's easy. It's like an Apple product, right? Like anybody can use it because it's
User-friendly,
user friendly.
Yeah, that's the goal. So I talk a lot about how complexity kills intimacy.
Yeah.
Complexity kills some of just the joy of the simplicity of the thing
Sure.
that we have. Our lives get complex. You're doing a lot of different things. You've done a lot of naming work. What's been helpful about that naming work? I mean, like in the last 24 hours, you've written fresh names. We're Googling things. You're putting things together as a communicator. How's that helpful to name things?
I think naming things is very spiritual, right? Like, think about Adam. One of his first jobs that include dominion is to name things, to give vocabulary. And if you're not giving vocabulary to your vocation, if you're not giving vocabulary to the way that you want to present yourself to the world and the things that you want to do, a name is only a word or words by which a person, place, or thing is known. And I think that you have to have these words to describe. You gonna be all right? This allergies act up. I have that kind of effect on people.
Get choked up over here.
But I think if you don't name it, and this is not the classic, name it and claim it, blab it and grab it kind of thing. I think if you don't have vocabulary to figure out how you want to present yourself, what you want to do, it makes it a lot more difficult for you to achieve your goals. The biggest thing that we did this week is to come up with that kind of rubric of naming things. I love it.
Yeah. And it looks different for everybody because that's you.
Mhm.
That's how you like to name things.
Yeah.
Man, it'd be interesting to think about, okay, what if 12 people came together and you were told to do it in the exact same way? It wouldn't have the same pop.
Sure.
Does it? I mean, it's sacred. It's intimate. You're saying things out loud for the first time.
Sure.
You've never maybe even thought about them before, let alone named them, set them, move from version 1 to version 3 pretty quick, head back on a plane, and you're like, I'm going to be sharing these with people at my birthday. I'm going to be sharing these with staff. I'm going to be sharing these with publishers. I mean, that's a big deal. What do you think was the most helpful thing of the last 48 hours that you've accomplished, put together, thought through, crystallized, synthesized?
I would definitely say it's the exercise of the naming that was amazing, of like the impact and the identity goals. Like that has always worked for me. The last time we did it, it was extremely effective, and I only missed one that we pushed through. But I also think that this last exercise of really timelining is a beautiful thing. It was like kind of strange. Like obviously none of us know if we're going to be alive today or tomorrow, but to look at something and kind of see these little milestones, things that you could work toward and work back from, I thought was really, really good. This last exercise that we did was actually very, very impactful for me.
Because those are all, the things you wrote on the board are all big.
Yes.
They take months,
Yep.
hours, if not hundreds of hours. Something like a book or other things that will remain unnamed that you're dreaming about. To do them well, some of them require huge financial investment. This is not, let me do this thing on a Tuesday.
Yep.
That stuff, none of that stuff happens on accident.
I agree.
It's all craftsmanship. It's all artistry. If it's going to go well, whether it's relational or something that you produced. One thing that drives me nuts is life plans. You go somewhere, you'll sit 2 or 3 days in the same room, doing the same thing. Can we talk about that? There's an element of adventure.
Let me tell you one of the most beautiful things about this, because if you notice, there was our first session, which just let's step back a little bit. There was the questionnaire survey type thing that you did, some assessment tools before we got into the work, which prepared me for some deep work before we got here, right? So before we got here, we had a little bit of a runway. And I've had experiences where coaches like you or different from you do the helicopter thing, right? It's like, all right, we're going to go here. It was much more like there was a runway. But I think one of the beautiful experiences about what you did this week is that there was an element of surprise. Like, I didn't even know I was going to walk in here. Yesterday, I thought I was going out to dinner. I walk into this room. There's a totally different context. hiking through, what do you call those things?
Garden of the Gods. Oh, Slot Canyon.
Yeah, slot canyons, going through the slot canyon, and things are starting to crystallize in my mind. Walking back, it was when I got the clarity about the three pieces on the organizational side of things, because my brain was just shifting and the weather was different, and there was, texture to the food I was eating, or the sunlight was on me at a particular time, or we were just ideating late at night. And I love that there's a sort of you don't make it all about work all the time, so we can toggle between. Oh
Yeah, well, have fun. Don't.
yeah,
Ooh.
100%. The next one, oh snap, dead right. We're just kind of doing this multi-sensory approach was amazing. So yeah,
Yeah, I've been playing with the language around that of trialogue.
yes, I love that word.
Where we're, okay, here you go. And let me just tell you in 6 podcast episodes, everything you need to do. Dialogue, let's talk back and forth.
Yeah.
But the surprise and delight. For me, new environments are going to produce new things.
Oh my gosh.
And the conversation shift. Usually we're in one place for about 90 minutes, maybe max 2 hours. You just came in, we did the inhale and the exhale. And so we're not just cramming content. In fact, you have about 2 hours to do some work and talk about it. You go somewhere else and talk about it.
No, I'm nervous because I don't, and this is what you got me on my toes. Like, I don't know how this is going to end. I don't remember how we ended the last time. So I'm like, what's he going to
Breathing exercises, swords, fire. Don't worry about it.
I'm a little bit nervous, but I can tell you that I think the level of intentionality it's going to take for people to scale from decade to decade is often overlooked. There's a lot of work out there, obviously, of people studying and researching things. But if you're not intentional about these milestones, I think you can miss a whole lot.
Yeah. I don't know how you do deep, sacred, meaningful, fulfilling work without looking ahead and working backwards.
Sure.
Sure. There's living in the moment, those little surprises, being present. Yeah, there's so much to say for that. We also didn't over goal and over schedule. And it's not like you have, for the next decade, here's what you're going to be every single.
Yeah, exactly.
But all those things on the board take serious energy, serious investment.
Yep.
And so I think that's a call to us, whether it looks like life planning and, hey, if that's the fit for you, do it. There's something about starting big, zooming out, and then working backwards to go, what do you want to do? What do you want? Yeah. How are you going to go after it? And have a partner in it.
Yeah.
Because I'm neutral to say, like, man, if you publish 1 book or 3, it doesn't really matter to me. I want you to be healthy and impactful. Sure. If it's video stuff or audio stuff, I want to make sure you love your family well. Yeah. How you do that obviously is up to you. So I think it's that choose your own adventure idea. And to go, man, it's fun to be on the adventure with you. Maybe last question for somebody who says, man, that's not me. I'm not a very intentional person. You are both spontaneous and intentional.
Right.
And so how can pulling that tension be helpful to a leader that says, I don't even know where to start and I can't come to Colorado for 3 days?
Well, you have to reduce your self-talk on what you can and you can't do. I think that it is absolutely imperative for you to do this because the success of you taught me something. And I think if you're a leader and you're listening to this podcast right now, I think the better question is, instead of giving yourself that self-talk, what needs to be true for me to do such and such? I think that's the better approach.
Great. What, did you catch that? What would have to be true in order to, it bends your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, think about it. Absolutely. So think about it differently. Realize that the investment in yourself is always the blessing and the investment to those who are in your periphery, whether that's your family, your coworkers, your employees, your staff, your team, your friends, whatever. The more you invest in yourself and the more clear you are, the less people have to fill in the blanks for you about who you are, and the less you have to fill in the blanks for yourself. So I really encourage you to put some real resources toward it and in terms of investing in yourself.
That's good. It's a good word, but hey, we got more adventures to head off to. More trialogue awaits. Dance party night right here.
Thank you for helping me in the most critical decade of my life.
Love you, Rip.
Love you. Absolutely.
So I hope that was fun for you to just peek into what this last few days has been like. And I want to give you a couple of takeaways. First of all, that kind of experience is not reproducible. And I realized it's very, very unique. And I spent a lot of intention and time thinking about that and crafting that. And I've been doing those for years with coaching clients. If you've been on one, you know just how seriously I take that time and protect it. And the goal is that a leader gets back on a plane and they feel clarified. They are not confused about who they are, about where they're heading. And it's an incredible experience. So that's not reproducible, but a few things really are. The inhale and the exhale. I want to encourage you to be inhaling as much vision and solitude and time with God as you are exhaling out leadership, content, ideas, strategy, vision, all the things of leading, which are really, really important. But one way that leaders either get flat creatively or head toward burnout or frankly, just get bored in leadership is because they are outputting or they're exhaling way more than they are inhaling. And essentially they hyperventilate as leaders. We need you to be inhaling and hearing from God and then being able to disseminate that to others on your team. So first of all, the inhale and the exhale. Secondly, I want you to think about what are your eulogy values? What do you want people to say at your memorial service? Whether that's 10 years from now or whether that's 45 years from now, what do you want people to say? Because then we can begin with the end in mind and work backwards to see what are those things that I truly care to cultivate in my life. I'll tell you this, friends, we don't become the person God designed us to be accidentally. We become that intentionally. That will require intentional vision, intentional foresight, intentional strategy to get there. And I love helping people to be able to clarify those things, get those things in line. There's nothing more exciting for me than hearing somebody say, I've activated on all those things in the last 5 or 10 years that we zoomed out on. Now it's time for me to think about my next season or my next decade. Lastly, if you feel like you really need this, I don't do too many of these each year, but you can apply for a vision refresh with me here in Colorado. Come here. We go to some beautiful places. We keep you on the move in these cool, different environments with great food, great experiences, a couple of experiences that kind of throw you off a little bit. Get outside in beautiful places. Make sure we get the inhale and the exhale so that you go home clarified. You can just shoot us an email at hello@stayforth.com. That's hello@stayforth.com, STAYFORTH.com, just to express your interest in that. We'd be glad to give you those application questions because I consider it a huge honor to walk with leaders, but it's got to be the right time for you. What truly matters at the end? And then we can work our way backwards.